And here's a cheers to you guys. Alcohol may be man's worst enemy, but the Bible says to love your enemy. Cool. So if you're not familiar with what we have been doing, it is a wonderful thing that is put on by Splunk, which if you're unfamiliar with Splunk, it's a security information and event monitoring. And the idea behind it is one of the few free blue team labs out there that's ready to go. You can immediately jump in. You can follow along with me now. I just dropped the link in chat. Everything is, we're really good to go on this. So we're going to go ahead and continue on where we were. Last week we did what we would call the 50-point level questions and just did an initial of like what a triage would be. This week we're going to bring in intelligence into this. What type of addressing would you pull? What type of engagement? So on and so forth. So yeah, I believe everything should be good. Did I mess something up there, Fraser? Let me know. Okay, wonderful. Excellent. Sorry, guys. New setup, obviously. I should probably say I did update the stream. I updated everything. I updated the intro. I got bored. What can I say? I was already working on stuff, trying to get the other show up and going, and I got so into the rhythm with it. I was like, why not? Screw it. So we have everything together. There we go. It's a little better on the audio. Still a little, I won't say rusty. I think a refresh was needed, but I think everything's looking good now. With that, as I said, we're going to leave the 100 level. We're going to get into 200 level. We're taking a look at more advanced Splunk operations, more refined searching methods, as well as we're going to pull in intelligence lookups. Well, not automated. We're going to pull manual intelligence lookups into what we're trying to identify for this particular instance. So let's go ahead and switch on over to yes. Okay, good. I was able to grab everything. Wonderful. All right. With that, let me pull up, try and do this in the most meaningful way possible, where I don't lose everything at once. Because I'm sharing out a whole screen with you guys, I temporarily lose some of my capacity to see everything, but it's okay. It's all right. So this is all information that we answered last week, okay? From the initial search, what's the likely IPv4 address of someone from Poison Ivy Group that's scanning internally Batman.com? Let me find the answer and show you guys. Boom. All right, so as of last week, this is kind of a summary of what we kind of found a little bit. We were able to identify that there was an attacker box that was using Accunex Vuln Scanner at 404042. We found a piece of malware via the Suricata logs that was called 3791.exe. We found an attacker at this particular address that was utilizing this particular website, and they were trying a bunch of brute force passwords. Though we didn't get into the brute force passwords last week, we are going to get into them this week. This is the server that got quote-unquote compromised, which is running Joomla. It's at this address, and the domain is called I'mReallyNotBatman.com. So now that we have that as an initial type of everything, let me pull up that and start walking through on Splunk. Close that. Cool. So we can walk through on here and take a look. By the way, any comments on, I'm calling out to my mods, if there's any comments on the new stuff or whatever else, I'd love to see them so I can chat them out. I'd appreciate it. Trying to think how we want to progress. Let's go ahead and go through a little bit of a catch-up. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, we're going to set the date range on this, and this is going to go between. For between, we're going to go, it's 8/1/01/2016. We're going to try and speed run this a little bit, all right? So I'm going to go as fast as I can while explaining at the same time. So we're setting it to that because that's when the events occurred within that month and that time period. We're just going to go ahead and apply on the 30-day window that is there. Next, we're going to go ahead and manage an index. An index is pretty simple. All it is it's just where you're storing the actual data at. Source type is going to equal, and then you would put in what type of data you want to take a look at. This can be within the same index. This can be outside of a different index. There's multiple instances. Okay. Wonderful. In this case, we are going to go boss of the Splunk. We're going to go to Splunk boss. I swear I can talk. I do this for a living. We can go to Splunk boss of the SOC competition, and we are going to. Hints have already started popping up to give a recommendation of IP addressing and things like that. Now, in this, it's talking about utilizing stream.http. But we actually, the way that we identified it is we utilized the FortiGate. So if you're not familiar with FortiGate, that is a firewall. So we utilized the FortiGate firewalls, took a look at I'mReallyNotBatman.com, and we wanted to see everything that's blocked. The reason is if you're scanning an address, you're usually scanning it for any flaws or vulnerabilities that might be there. Well, a lot of those that they aren't going to find are going to be automatically blocked, which would be if there's a firewall and it's blocking traffic, very likely. And then the last part down here called stats count by source IP. What that's going to do is that's going to show us, it's going to give us a unique count of how many events that occur by that particular field. You can actually do multiple fields, something that I probably should have said last week, but you can say something like source IP and destination IP equals blah, 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 or whatever else. You can count by however many fields you want to count, and it will give you a unique counter for when those fields are together, when they're independent, and every time that they're unique. All the count does is just show you per unique and the qualifications that you're actually listing. And to let those of you that may be new know that this is basically, we're going to go a little bit of IR, a little bit of threat hunting, and a little bit of, what do you call it? Little IR, a little bit of threat hunting, and a little bit of Splunk. So actually learning what Splunk is, Splunk does, and the search indicators and how to use it. So in that's where we found the, if you see, we found the 4080, and let's make sure that this is blown up as large as possible. So we found the 4080.148 here. We can just copy and we can paste that in right here. Wonderful. And this is what you'll see when you do these types of things. It'll go green and yay, you won. Cool. Next is up. What company created the web vulnerability scanner used by Poison Ivy? Well, we can come down here. We can say view events. If you click on here, and also you want to hide the fields, I'm hiding the fields because I'm presenting to you guys. But if you click down here and attack Acunix web vulnerability, well, right there is Acunetix, so ACUNETIX. Submit that, and boom. Okay. What content management system is I'm Really Not Batman taking a look at? In this case, we're going to take a look back here. And this time, we're going to switch over to what's called the Stream HTTP. Now, this is something I discovered between last week and this week. I'm a little out of date. I generally don't take a look at HTTP data anymore. I don't go to it regularly anymore because it is very bulky. It's chunky. One. Two, very frequently it's secure nowadays because you have SSL. You have HTTPS as a standard, as a requirement. I'm not going to say you don't see HTTP data anymore because you do on occasion. I have definitely found it, but it's not as commonplace as it was when this data set came out in 2016. So with that, we are going to take a look at, I say that to say we are going to take a look at the stream HTTP data that's involved with I'mReallyNotBatman.com. And then we're going to separate it out and count by URI path. In the URI path, there's a whole bunch of different information. So let's see if we can take a look at the events. Oh, I want verbose mode. There we go. There we are. Joomla. Right at the very top there. Well, I saw what it was. There we go. So that's one method of doing that. Now, if you're familiar with networking data, this hint is great. Look for successful HTTP status codes of 200, get requests from the scanning IP address, and then inspect the fields related to URI URL for clues to the CMS use. All right? Boom. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We aren't going to take care of this today. What else do we have available? Oh, wait. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking. What is the name of the file that defaced the I'mReallyBatman.com website? So, one of the things that you can do with this one was a little trickier. And also, again, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, you have the 100 ratings. The 100 ratings are pretty easy to grab. You can speed run them. You can grab them pretty easy. And this is all about how comfortable you are on A, understanding the data that you're messing with when it comes to Splunk, B, being able to use Splunk to craft the queries that are necessary in which you can find things or threat hunt, and also understanding the underlying technology. So, for example, in this, we can take a look and say, what is the name of the file that defaced the I'mReallyNotBatman.com website? Please submit only the name of the file with extension. Well, in that, we're going to come and back all of this up, and I'm going to actually type all this out to make sure that we talk directly about what is available. Okay? In this, what we're going to be looking for is, in the scenario, once you compromise a box, you have access in the box. So from the traffic that is available, what we are going to look for is we are going to look for either a post or a get, being that it's either going to be a post from one of the attacker machines or it's going to be a get to the actual server itself, because it would be a download if you compromise that. Now, in this, and I'm talking behavioral patterns now, in this, the attacker was able to compromise the box. So it would be much easier for them while sitting on the box, which, if you get familiar with the data, they're doing a lot of URL injects and other form injects, it looks like, and a couple other things. In this, what we can do is we can take a look at, you want to take a look at the destination IP is equal to the 192.168.250.70, I think it was. Yeah. So I've got my notes on that screen as well, so I'm bouncing back and forth. And then we're going to take a look at the source IPs that equal our two attack IP addresses, which are... So we're going to take a look at anything that originates from here. Or source IP equals, and then we're going to take a look at the second one. So far, these are the only two attack platforms that we've identified so far. Okay. Wonderful. Moving on. And then we want to take a look for event types that equal file info. And we also want to look for GET request very specifically, because this is going to be the download. And we have one event. And in this, we see that the destination IP, being that the source is going to be where the file is coming from, destination because of the traffic change. Destination is going to be where the file is going to. We see the event type is file info. File info is poison ivy is coming for you, Batman.jpg. Okay, so we can copy that, see if that's the one. HTTP is, well, we know that's coming from prankglass, bracket, jumpingcrab.com, which I'll show you in just a second why that's important, and that's what it means. And then I'm wondering if anybody can tell what's so significant about this. I'll say that it is the source port right here, 1337, or LEET, if you'd like. So we'll submit that. We got that one as well. Okay. This attack used dynamic DNS to resolve to the malicious IP. What fully qualified domain name is associated with this attack? Well, we will try with what we just pulled that from, which is jumping crab, this, blah, blah. Yep. But I want to show you also another way of taking a look at that. And there's a couple ways too. So one, obviously, if we're able to find, if we understood the network traffic enough to where we could go, all right, I want to do a source and I want to do a destination. By the way, option 2 here is to switch all this around. So we could go source is equal to this. We can go, oh, I hope it was DEST. I can't remember what it was because I just deleted it. Dest. dest. We can go here and we can go post. And so we can flip the communication around. What you'll find is you'll find 5,100 events. And the file info is just messing around with the particularly, it's just a whole bunch of posts to the commands and controls, the input and everything else like that. So, with that, let's take a look at, there is a stream data that's related to DNS, all right? And we're going to do this live action. Stream data, DNS. We're going to try source IP equals 192.168. Is it 250.70? We have 30 events. So we want where query equals that. Cool. Wonderful. That's going to be really easy. Stats, count by where query exists. So now we have 30. Whoop. I messed something up. Which one was I looking for? Oh, sorry. I should probably actually answer what the next question is. There it is. Nope. Not the one. Oh, sorry, I got confused where I was at. We're talking about how do we use DNS to resolve this malicious IP with the attack. In this case, should be destination. No, it shouldn't. What am I missing? I'm missing something. I, for the life of me, just blanked on this. You know what? We know the answer from the previous one, so why don't we do it that way? If you know that the answer is this, what type of record exists? Because I apologize. I had the point in my notes and I am blanking on the events. Stream DNS was correct. What am I missing? Oh, it's the source IP that was incorrect. That was my issue. There we go. And then the query was that particular query. Wonderful. All right. So we're going to keep moving forward. Now we're going to move into some of the other options as well. Now, as I pulled up previously, we have the attacker and we have the attacker down here. We also have the scanner that was over here. We have the malware and we have I'm Really Not Batman. Now, what I love about Boss of the SOC is that they are wonderful, wonderful, very experienced group of analysts and engineers and excellent. So they were able to inject a lot of this data into, well, they spoofed a lot of it. But anyway, let me show you two tools real quick. So the first tool is going to be Alien Vault OTX, which you can do for free. And I'm going to put in one of the addresses that we know, which is 2322.63.114, as shown right there. And then as a result, you get analysis of passive DNS. Let's go ahead and show all of them. And you will see all of the associated individualized addressing. Now, what's weird about this address, though, is if you look, this says Wayne Core INC. We also have Wayne Corp INC, but without the Y. We have multiple versions of spelling here that all point to an address that's not actually part of Wayne Enterprises, meaning that this is spoofed. Per intelligence reports, if they are unsuccessful with their first type of attack, this group will move on to phishing attacks, meaning that what we're seeing here is an association with a whole bunch of ready domains that are set up to spoof an MX record and be able to send out Wayne Core, whatever enterprises, to try and get a user to click or engage, or have, in this case, their TTPs are to have an attachment as an email. So I just realized how tiny that is, probably on y'all's screen. Let me blow this up to where, okay, there we go. Sorry. So this 2322.63.114 is what I'm talking about for this particular instance. And like I said, this is Alien Vault. This is free. This is public. You can go and sign up for it now. Super cheap. All right. Number two. So we see all of that being stored. If you take a look here, we close this. What IPv4 address has Poison Ivy tied to domains that are pre-staged to attack Wayne Enterprises? I believe that, yeah. Okay, yeah. It's this one right here that we just took a look at with the pre-staging and everything else ready to attack. So we can go copy and we can go and paste that in here. Speed run. With that as well, I want to show you another option. So this is called Threat Crowd. This is also, let's go threatcrowd.org, go here. Wonderful. So if you see this, this is a combination of a bunch of different Intel options, but we have all of those known associated domain names here and how they are somewhat connected. In this, we also see, if I scroll down just a little bit, I hope this is coming through. You know what? Let me try this. Nope, that doesn't work either. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was trying to blow it up a little bit on your screen, but it is just not wanting to play around well. Does not want to play well with others. So what we'll do instead is I will take this and I will throw it into there you go. If you guys like to follow along, you can do so there. Wonderful. Okay. So you can play around with the graph itself and take a look, but each one of these are somehow connected to each other. With this, we know that this particular address is actively connected to all of these different forms of spear phishing campaigns that we are taking a look at right now. So this is the address that we searched. It reaches out to these individuals. Now, there are other transitory records that show that it's associated with this, but what's also interesting is that you have this right over here. You have 5 addresses that all are associated with Lillian Rose at poisonivy.com. Okay. Poisonivy.com in and of itself is directly referenced by the address that we know of. We can see that there is quite a bit of other stuff in there. And one nice little part over here is we see the same name, Prank Glass Jumping Crab, poisonivy.com. We see it over here as well. That's directly associated as another address. If these are by standard intelligence markers, it means that they will be weighed by the traffic usually, or the size of the web page, or XYZ, a whole bunch of different stuff. In that, we can actually answer a couple questions based on the data gathered from the based on the data gathered from this attack and common open source intelligence sources for domain names. What is the email address that is most likely associated with the Poison Ivy APT group? Well, we have 2 email addresses. We have hostmaster@afraid.org, and then we have Lillian Rose at poisonivy.org as well. So we can clipboard that. Okay. If you're wondering how I did that, you do a right click and you can either go up to pivot and it will start a new search on that, or you can go down to clipboard. So clipboard, wonderful. Come back over here. Just go paste. Nope, that is not the answer what I was looking for. Try that again. There we go. We got that going. Okay. What IPv4 address is likely attempting a brute force password attack against I'm Really Not Batman? We previously covered this last week, but it is the 2322 address. Actually, did we cover that last week? Actually, I don't think we did. Let me hit that real quick so I can show you. In this, we're going to take a look at the FortiGate firewalls. We're going to take a look at I'mReallyNotBatman.com, stats count by source IP address. That's going to pull up 2, and you have 2 addresses. You have one that's, it becomes really easy when you're external addressing. That goes through the FortiGate is you have 2 options. So try both of them, and one will work. However, let me show you what it looks like when you start seeing this stuff. Now, keep in mind, and this is where we're going to pivot into the more advanced items. Keep this in mind that the data that we're going to look at is not commonly available anymore. Okay. And it's because of best practices that this type of information is generally not as accessible as it once was. You won't see this type. But what we're going to look at is we're going to look at URI encoded username and passwords. And it's very poor coding practices in HTTP, no less. Okay. So yes, this is a lot. Let's go ahead and start with, and I will just back all of this up so we can walk through this one by one. So first off, we're going to take a look at the index and we're going to say, I want to see all the stream HTTP data for I'mReallyNotBatman.com. And in total, we have 22,199 events. That's a lot. All right. Next off, we are going to just realize I have a lot of stuff in here that we can just clean up because I just want to take a look at only this. We only want to see form data, which equals username equals and password equals, with asterisks on either side so we can see the string. Okay. Let me pull the regex out of there. So now we have 412 events of what we were just searching for, what's called form data. If you take a look at the HTTP stream language, or the events, the HTTP stream events, find form, come on. So form data is what part of the entry is. Now, if you take a look, you can clearly see, and let me blow this way. Wait, hold on. I am going to blow this up, but let me find the correct actual. Where are you at? There you are. There we go. Okay. So, username equals admin and password equals Batman and option equals com login and task equals login and return equal blah, 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 right? So very explicitly in the form data, you see that this is being passed over plain text. There's obviously a security issue there. With that, one of the ways that we can use this to our advantage in this particular instance is we are going to put all this information into a table. So what this says here is this basically says REX, which stands for regular expressions, which I would highly recommend. Let me throw this into chat if you guys are unfamiliar with regular expressions. So regex101.com, if you're unfamiliar with it, highly recommended. In this case, we start with the regular expression, then we go into field equals form data, the form data that we talked about where we can see username and passwords. And in that, we're going to say passwd equals, which is the actual area that we want to refine down on. And we are looking to insert this particular information string into a field called PW. Same with UN for username. In this, I can pull up the regex. We're not going to get into regex tonight. That's going to be a whole other stream. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. All right. If we search for this, though, what we'll get is 412 events. Of that, we get the time, date that they started, the password, and the username. If I want to switch this around and go username, password, no problem. We can do that. Okay. And in which case, I just pulled out the username and the password of everybody that's involved. All right. So, taking a look at boss of the SOC. We're going to go to this part of the, here we go. What is the first brute force password used? So we can take a look at the timestamps, and we see that 2148.05 versus 2145 21.226. So that means that this right here is the first password that's being utilized. Throw that in there. Make sure you remove the white space. Submit. Wonderful. Next. One of the passwords in the brute force attack is James Brodsky's favorite Coldplay song. We are looking for a 6-character word on this one. So, what is something we can do with this? Well, really easy off the top is, oh, I haven't taught you guys that yet. We will skip that one and come back to it. What was the correct password for admin access to the content management system running IamNotReallyBatman.com? Now, this one's actually pretty easy, all right? As an attacker, would you continue to guess passwords of a system that you just got into? Likely not. It is theoretically likely that whenever you finish the password spray attempt, your very last one's going to be the one that was successful. In which case, all we have to do is flip the timestamps. So if this is 2145, that's 2148. That means Batman. It's going to be the password. Done. What is the average password length used in the password brute forcing attempt? Now, this is the one that's going to be really interesting. All right. And here's how we're going to do this. We are going to go ahead and use a special type of we're going to use a particular type of data called eval, and then we're going to go length on the password field. Should be correct. Wonderful. And then in that case, we are... Okay, would you stop? Thank you. In this case, we should see that each password is now listed out as to how many characters it is. I say that very specifically because we have a couple things here. What was the average password length used in the brute force for brute forcing attempt? And we had one that we just jumped. One of the passwords in the brute forcing attack is James Brodsky's favorite Coldplay song. We are looking for a 6-character word on this one. What is it? So in which case we can go and say, now that we've evaluated what the length is, we can go and say search length equals 6, because we know that's the case. By the way, control / will make everything pretty as you're searching this stuff. Have I not had any questions this entire thing? Wow. So we have 214 events, and then you can take a look and figure it out. Odds are, you know, you can do 100 per page. Search through here. You can also do a little open source research, or you could take a look at a lot of Yellowplay songs or Coldplay songs, in which case one of them is Yellow. Another thing you could do is you could also negate the recs by numbers, so you don't have all this 0, 0, 0, blah, 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 blah. But a quick look through here, and you'd be able to find that, oh, where are we at here? Yellow is one of the options. Coldplay song, name of Yellow. You could also probably take a look and just say, hey, Coldplay, how many songs do you have that are 6 characters? And then try and find them in here and do a cross-reference. There's a couple ways of, you know, coming to the same conclusion. That's the thing about doing IR as well. As long as you come to the conclusion in a meaningful way that you can explain that has a good point of reference, you can get to it any way. There's not always just one answer. There's not always just one right answer either. A lot of it's behavioral based. So if you can make, you know, it's a little bit of a gray. You just have to, it's a constant risk matrix that you're doing. What was the average password length used in the brute forcing attempt? All right, so this one, we now have all the passwords. We're going to remove this length requirement so that way we have everything, because otherwise it'd just be an average of 6. 412 events, and we have all these different things. Now, I could try, let me try this. Stats, average. It's probably going to yell at me because I think that's wrong. Oh, no, it's not. There we go. Cool. 6.17. Oh, no, it's not. My bad. Oh, well. Am I getting the... Oh, to the closest whole integer. That's just me not... It's me not reading the directions. My bad. So that's one option. You can just throw an average stats length in there. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Option 2. Oh, come on. Option 2, and this is a really... Being that you just have to add stats average length, this is another option, though, that you can do. Don't recommend it, but you can. From here, if you could not remember stats average length for whatever reason, you can utilize other tools as well, in which case I would export this into a CSV option or an XML or a JSON. I prefer CSV because then I can just open it up in Excel and go, oh, all right, time, username, password, length. Go all the way to the bottom, equals average, this count, output, 6177 as well. Don't be afraid to export. If you can't figure out how to do it in Splunk in times of the essence, don't be afraid to export. Get good, get really good at doing log review in Excel. Now, personally, because Excel can be faster than Splunk for smaller data sets, I used to like to get to big bulk data sets all the way down to less than 1,000. Then I would pull it into another program, be it Power BI or Excel, and that's where I would do my spreadsheets and data reviews and things like that. So that's another option as well for that. Okay, close that. Where are we at? We have how many seconds elapsed between the time the brute force password scan identified the correct password and the compromised login? Well, let's remove this part of this. We can take a look here, and we'll see that this is time 1. Let me roll that into a notepad. And then, where are you at? This is time 2. And if we subtract one from the other, we will get approximately 90. I have a calculator over here. 92.17. Just to let you know, let's see if I can blow that up. So those are the 2 time frames that we have that are available. You just subtract one from the other. I have a calculator over on my other screen that does that for us. 92.7. Submit. Cool. How many unique passwords were attempted in the brute force attempt? Well, I think we can say 412. What else are we missing? And we got about 10 minutes left. I think we've been speed running this pretty well. What is the name of the executable that was uploaded by Poison Ivy? Include the file extension. Okay. File uploads to web forms, use HTTP post method. As I recall, we did take a look at this. But I think that might have been on Monday's stream, and maybe I didn't catch it. Let's see. No, we did. There it goes. So we're going to go back over here to Splunk. All of this is wonderful. And then we're going to go stats, stats count by message for, in this we're saying source type. Let's take a look at the FortiGate. Let's take a look at the firewalls. Let's take a look at any executables that exist. And then we're going to count by message. If we count by message, in this, when we say count by message, we're taking a look at whatever FortiGate events are occurring, counting by the message, which will tell us, URL belongs to a allowed public out. If there is anything that exists in there that says, this is bad, this is good, this is whatever else. This is one method of doing it. I will do this. I'll take a sampling of, like, let's say the last week sometimes of an entire firewall, and I'll just take a look at the messages. And then I'll flip them back and forth to say, like, what's the least occurring message? Why is that one occurring only one time? Why is that one occurring only 3 times? Something really weird, because I like to look at the oddities. I like to look at the small, really poignant things and then do root cause analysis and figure out why they are existing the way they are. In this case, we can see file is infected. We only have 1 count. Cool. Let's go view the event. If we take a look, we can see that, where are you at? Attack, malware operations. Well, all right, file is infected. File name, 3791. Well, that works out pretty well. And submit. That one's closed. What is the MD5 hash of the infected uploaded? Well, that one might be a little bit difficult. Let's see. Is there an MD5 that's available here? There's a message. There's no MD5, Shaw. No signatures that I'm seeing. We have a signature of what it is. But there is a way that we can do this. Okay? What we've noticed is there is a file hash. Now, if you guys can't tell off the bat, that looks to be a SHA-256. Come on. Sometimes it's being a pain, so I'm just going to go up here so I can copy it. In which case, we're going to go here, throw this into virus total. As you can see, it's called ab.exe, 59 out of 69. Everyone's flagging it as bad, blah, blah, blah. But you can go to details, and you can pull the MD5 right out of the details. Also done as well. All right, what else do we get? We got just about everything. GCPD reported that Commons TTPs for the Poison Ivy APT group, if initial compromise fails, to send a spear phishing email with custom malware attached to their intended target. This malware is usually connected to Poison Ivy initial attack infrastructure. Using research techniques, provide the SHA-256 hash of this malware. That's something that we're going to get into next week, as well as transition over to the ransomware side of this investigation. There's a whole second subset of data that's available within the bots. Boss of the SOC competition, the V1. And I definitely want to make sure that we go over it. We are getting to the end of the night. I'm going to ask the mods one more time. I've had 0 questions for this entire thing. So, I definitely want to hear from you guys, see if there's anything else that I can talk to, help you out with, or if anyone's got any questions. Beyond that, please go ahead and do Discord. And please join us in Discord. I'm going to go over there after this, have a sit down and hang out over in sub chat. It'd be wonderful to see you guys. And yeah, I guess that's going to be it for tonight. Hit all of the topics I wanted to cover and sped run that almost entire thing. The last little bits, I will tell you, looking at the last little bits, that it's going to be something that's very unique and specific. Part of it is malware analysis that involves hex. So the information is not readily available between Splunk or intelligence sources, and it involves downloading the malware sample, I believe, and tearing it apart in a hex editor. Which case, man. But, oh, hey, J-Jack, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm here every Friday night, and this is one of the things that we try and do. But we are coming to the end of the night, guys. I definitely want to thank my mods for their ongoing work, and I want to thank you, yes, you, chat, for coming to hang out. I hope I was value added. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you like the new setup and everything else that I've been working on. Please hit ! Discord. Let me know what I can do to continue to improve. Let me know what we can do if you wanted me to cover a different subset. If you find something else that might be good to take a look at. I want to get back to getting hands-on with analysis and investigation and hacking and all that stuff. I want to get back. I want to get sharp again. You know, I think I got a little spoiled being where I was previously because I was only working on engineering diagrams and not doing as much analysis. And I need to get my wit up and I need to get sharper. So let's do it together. With that, I really want to get into, we are going to be competing come June. Me and a group of people are going to be competing in, which you're welcome to as well. It's free. The Boss of the SOC competition, that's happening in June at .conf 22 for Splunk. You should be able to find it in the Boss of the SOC URL that I dropped in chat. And then also I want to do the, not just the advent of cyber rooms over at Try Hack Me, but I also want to do the SANS investigation advent calendar that they run every year as well. So I'm going to try and do both of those this year, see where we can get. Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the year of CTFs for me, you know? Let me see what I can do. But I do want to say we are coming to the end of the night. I hope you were value added. Please be safe this weekend. And here's a cheers to you guys. Alcohol may be man's worst enemy, but the Bible says to love your enemy. Hey, thanks for watching. I want to thank Neil and the Cyber Insecurity channel for providing a place to have real conversations with real people. Feel free to throw a like or to follow me on the socials in the description. Please remember to click subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see other videos, click that stuff that's all over the screen. See you next time.